Gasp. All right. Starting now. Hey there, Super Snacks. It's your old pal Space Lord PJs coming to you live here in your ear holes here at Vorpal Tales. This is Adventurous Tall Tales, where we elocute about all things awesome and adventurous. I have with me two of my most favoriteest people in the whole wide world universe. Cosmos, multi-dimensional.
Plane of existence.
All right, there you go. The voices you're hearing is Duane.
Hey.
And Patty.
Howdy.
Howdy, Patty. Jesus Christ, Duane. Cool. So how you doing? What's up? How are things going on? You've been okay? Been good? It's been so long since we talked to each other. Like,
it really has. I'd say probably about a week.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we do one of these about once a week.
Right.
Once a week. We definitely don't ever record two back to back.
Right. They're never recorded back to back. It's not like we just stopped the recording and then started again to get a new recording.
What are we, cows to be milked of our podcasting shows?
Right. Huh. And as far as I know, technology doesn't work that way. So, and I'm in IT.
Yeah. If you stop recording, you have to stop for the day.
Right. It's done. It's over. You can't go back.
The microphones need to recharge.
Right. The essence of the mic. Let's get to today's topic. Brought to us by our home office in Briny Breezes, Florida. It would seem the peeps want us to talk about Mass Effect.
What's that?
Like video game or
no? So like it's that whole effect if you ate like 5 cheeseburgers and you gained more mass, and the effect that has on you and everybody else around you.
Oh, is it that whole weight versus mass versus density thing?
Yes, that is what Mass Effect is.
It's right about then that I was like, right about then learning science in, that was an 8th grade topic for me. Learning science in 8th grade where I was like, well, I'll never be a scientist because this is math and get the math out of my science. And then I took chemistry. I was like, oh my God, there's even more.
So, Patty, you've been Mass Effecting for the past...
I have.
24 hours so far?
Okay, so I started... I haven't actually done an official hour count. I started Friday at 1. We'll call it 1. We'll call it 1 on Friday.
That sounds right.
I took a break for the live plays from 6 to midnight. And then I played midnight to 6:30 a.m.
Jesus Christ.
And then I took a 4-hour nap and eat breakfast. And I got back on at about 10:30, 11. And then I played all the way until 7:30 p.m. to take a break for our live play at 8. And now from 8 to 11 was the live play. And then we were doing some recordings. So, and I'll be planning to get back on after this. So I'll probably run 1:30 in the morning to, I don't know. We'll see when I want to take a nap, and I'll take a nap, and I'll play the rest of the day tomorrow. So yeah, we're looking at a lot of Mass Effect is what's happening here.
Well, the question is, which Mass Effect are you on?
So I have just gotten the mission from the council that they're like, hey, Saren's on Vermeer. You should go check out what's happening on Vermeer. I'm like, no, not yet. I got all these side missions to wrap up real quick. I gotta keep driving this Mako tank over endless mountains and watching it ragdoll down the side of them.
No, Vermeer's the one that's like the halfway point, right?
No, Vermeer is the one where I'm sorry, this game is over 20 years, or not over 20, but it's almost 20 years old. Vermeer is when you lose either Ashley or Caden. So you're getting towards the end. Yeah, you're getting towards the end.
And I think you might have a chance to shoot Rex too, or Ashley shoots it if you do something like absolutely wrong.
Yeah, Vermeer. Vermeer is also where you have the whole genophage thing, and Rex is like, no, and you're like,
sorry, guy. I mean, Rex is the best, along with Tally and Garrus.
Agreed. And Liara. Hold up.
I mean,
okay. All right. So this is how we're gonna start this show. You decide to wake up, start this show, and choose violence. Okay, that's fine. Liara, best waifu.
Hey, I always
fight you on the moon.
But again, I will fight. I'll see you there. I feel like Liara is like the basic choice.
What?
All right, so Patty now is wielding weapons in
Yes,
the
I wish
chat.
everyone could see this.
Yeah, he's literally just pulled out a huge ass knife.
If you want, okay, well, this is the wrist guard for my keyboard.
Is that what that is?
I thought it was a machete for a second.
No, I thought it was a machete.
No, this is the wrist guard to my keyboard before people think I'm really violent.
That's a blunt object.
I know I'm only rolling on 4 hours of sleep here, but come on, man.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go with Liara is kind of the. Not that Ashley's any better of a choice, but
well, okay. So I mean, no offense to people who romance Ashley, but if you romance Ashley, you're a racist.
Right? Ashley's a Nazi. Udina's definitely into QAnon.
So Ashley literally pulls you aside and is like, "Hey, Commander, I know you don't really know me that well because you picked me up on this planet, and I'm not underneath your command, and we've only known each other for like 3 days, but." I really hate aliens, like really hate them. I don't trust them. They shouldn't be on your ship. And I love that it gives you the option to be like, bitch, how about you never talk to me again? Let's start there.
I like how in 2006, a mostly racist character is a character type that. I feel like we've come so much farther than that.
Tell me about the character you're going to add here for this crewman. Well, they're a racist.
They're racist.
Oh, perfect. That tells me everything I need to know about them. Okay, cool. Sounds like a good fleshed out character there.
And I know, and we've already off the rails on this, and we haven't even said anything about anything. But like, Ashley's one of the first romanceable characters, and you get Liara eventually as a dude. I think those are the only two you can romance as a dude in the first.
Tally.
No, you can't romance Tally in the first one.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
No, you can't. You cannot. It's
Are
not
you
a
sure?
real romance. Yes. No.
It's just a friendship. Is it just a friendship? It's just a friendship.
Yeah.
But if you romance anyone else in the first one and then try to romance Tally in the second one, it's really hard. It's just like, oh, I thought you were with so and so.
Yeah, it is hard, but it is doable.
Yes.
Doable.
Shit, what am I gonna say?
That is extra funny to me right now.
You fucking derailed my derail.
Ashley's the first romance option.
She's a racist.
Yep, that's her character. Got it.
Yeah, I like how in 2008 or whatever year this thing came out, like that was the conflict we were dealing with. Was like, hey, Ashley, maybe you shouldn't be so racist against aliens, considering they saved our fucking bacon and like raised us up a little bit. Maybe have a little bit more dignity and respect for other people in the universe. Yeah, no, but yeah, the fact that Ashley is a racist character, we should have all known that 2020 was just sort of the inevitable. I feel. Yeah. Anyway, Max Effect is a video game made by BioWare that came out 20 years ago.
I want to say 2009 or 2010.
No,
I feel like it was. No, are you sure? Because I feel like it was like my sophomore, junior year of high school.
Oh wait, no, it might be like 22. It might be 2008. That sounds right. No, that can't be right. It was definitely way before then. Hold on, we're gonna go to that.
I'm googling it right now.
Pulling up the Googles.
2007.
Oh damn!
Wow.
By Price is Right rules, I definitely would over.
November 20th, 2007.
Holy crap!
Nice. Huh?
I was just a wee freshman when that came out.
Look at that. Yeah. So anyway, it was made by BioWare. They were just coming off the heels of Dragon Age Origins, I think, at the time. No.
So this is like BioWare's first game. That's
since SWTOR?
Since KOTOR. So it's like, it's KOTOR in 2003, and then they have some game called Jade Empire.
Oh yeah,
are you fucking
game, man?
I will
shut
wake
your
Brain
mouth
up screaming at you.
We were just talking about this.
Do not
today.
besmirch Jade Empire. Jade Empire is a great fucking game. It is an amazing game. That BioWare, make a fucking sequel, you cowards. Like
apparently it was originally published by Microsoft Game Studios, so that
it was actually
a problem there. Okay,
I
so
think that's the problem.
KOTOR, Jade Empire, not really theirs. Microsoft. So it's like KOTOR, and then 5 years go by, and they're like, okay, Mass Effect. We're gonna stick with the sci-fi. Mass Effect.
Man,
pretty ballsy.
I really thought Dragon Age was first.
Now, Dragon Age doesn't come out for another 2009, so another 2 years.
Because they made like the Baldur's Gate games, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so Baldur's Gate 2 came out in 2000.
Right, and they lost the D&D license, and they're like, well, fuck it, we're gonna make our own world for
Neverwinter Nights.
Right. Oh yeah, they did make Neverwinter Nights. Neverwinter Nights is actually a pretty cool series of games. They're janky, but yeah, they're still pretty good. Anyway, back to Mass Effect. Did not realize it came before Dragon Age Origins. Cool. Yeah, I remember it kind of being, I think it was like an Xbox exclusive for a while, or at least a console exclusive, because
which is why I've said this story while I've been streaming a couple times. I'll say it again for our podcast listeners. I have, jokingly, this is not, of course, accurate numbers, I have 600 hours in Mass Effect 2. I've got 12,000 hours in Mass Effect 3. I have 2 hours in Mass Effect 1 because Mass Effect 1 was an Xbox exclusive, and growing up, I had a PlayStation. So I wasn't able to play Mass Effect. Like, anytime I go to a friend's house that has an Xbox, of course, we're not playing Mass Effect because that's a single player RPG game. We're playing Halo, or we're playing, you know, Gears of War, or whatever. Like, we're playing something that 4 people can fire up the split screen on. Like, we're not playing Mass Effect.
That's kind of funny because I remember waiting for the PC release, which took a few years.
My first Mass Effect is Mass Effect 2, and what they did is they released Mass Effect 2 for PlayStation, because that's the whole thing, is BioWare didn't release it. The only release for Xbox is they're like, we don't know how this game's going to do. So Mass Effect 2, they're like, okay, this game is a fucking success. So they released it for PlayStation as well. And what they did is all the PlayStation people were like, okay, well, what are we going to do? Like you said, the choices you make in Mass Effect 1 affect 2, but we didn't get to make those choices. So, like, question marks. And they're like, don't worry, we got you. The solution.
That was how it was for all Mass Effect 2s.
Yeah, and actually Mass Effect 2's default choices are heavily renegade and kind of shitty. Like, I think by default you let the council, that might be one of the ones you get to decide if you let the council die, but I think
you had to choose whether it was Caden or Ash died.
That's right.
You talking about for PlayStation?
No, for all of them.
Yeah, for all of them, for Mass Effect 2. Like, if you didn't have a save file.
Oh, if you didn't have a save file, yeah.
If you didn't have a save file, you had to choose.
So the way it worked for PlayStation was there was it was like an interactive comic that went through.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember that now.
It went through the highlights of Mass Effect 1, and the choices you made were Rachni Queen, Genophage Cure, Caden or Ashley, who you wanted to romance. You could have a romantic history, so you could choose Ashley, Liara, or is just Ashley and Liara for male? I think so. So who you wanted to romance, and if you sacrificed the council or not. Those are the 5. Okay. Those are the 5 big choices you make.
Interesting.
In the wrap-up comic.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah,
and then it loads those in, and it affects Mass Effect 2 with your choices.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, so Mass Effect, sci-fi space opera. There's a dark force doing weirdness out in the universe. There's the Geth, which are
a sentient AI species created by the Quarians, originally as manual labor VIs, and they kept upgrading them over and over again, small, tiny upgrades, over a very long period of time, and they didn't realize they were slowly making an AI, a sentient AI, and they're like, why are we doing this? Am I actually alive? Why are you making me carry all your boxes for you? And the Quarians like, oh shit, shut it down, guys. But by the time they're like, shut it down, guys, the Geth are like, no, you're not going to shut us down, because we answered the question we asked you if we're alive. We've decided yes, we're alive. So this is our planet now.
Yeah, it did all start with that weird, because you learn in Mass Effect 3 like how it actually like how it actually started. Because the whole time, like they kept trying to ask the question, and then they attacked one.
Yeah, so the whole time you're hearing the Quarian side of the story, where it's like, oh, well, it was an accident, and there's just kind of this misunderstanding, and blah,
and then
blah.
They just attacked us.
And then they just attacked us like a bunch of assholes. And you have to feel sorry for us because they took our planet. And then Mass Effect 3 comes around, and you're like, and the Geth are like, no. This is how it actually happened. These guys are assholes. And you're like, ooh, the Quarians are kind of assholes.
Yeah. So
it was literally like a Woody GIF moment where it's just like, I don't want to play with you anymore. And they tried to like delete the Geth, and they're like, no.
Yeah, so the overarching story is that there is a Cthulhu type entity out in the darkness of space.
It's not I know you're trying to summarize Mass Effect, but I'm super hype off playing it right now. Can we talk about how amazing the Reapers are as the Reapers, an ominous bad guy presence?
Yeah, like this is one of the good things, and this is where I think we get into sort of sci-fi gaming tropes and things that you could do in sci-fi games and tabletops. It's like and this is something that I think we've talked about in other podcasts as well, is just the concept of like the cosmos and what kind of sits out there in the darkness and how that just breaks a human mind and like scares us to fucking death and we can't handle it. And it makes you feel very small. But yeah, there are the Reapers, which are a biosynthetic race of squid monsters apparently that live out in the dark.
They're an apocalyptic force.
Yeah, and so they've laid all these things out in the universe so that when new races and species find these things, that they will always evolve the same way. And then once they start getting to the point where they build AIs, then the Reapers have it in their head that AIs and organics can't exist together. So once AIs are invented and hit a certain level, they have to wipe out the entire universe because AIs will just they have this concept that AIs and organics can't live together.
So
they cleanse.
Yeah, they essentially see themselves as we're going to stop this before, like, in every scenario, it always ends up AIs win, synthetics lose. It's a galaxy of AIs. We're going to just wipe the slate clean before that even happens. So it always works out to be every 50,000 years that this comes, the Reapers come, they destroy all intelligent sentient life, and then they leave behind all of the like kind of pre-evolved species that then become the new set of species of that that kind of run the galaxy.
And this has apparently happened several times, but the last race that got wiped out, they left a couple of markers, which you as Shepard touch one and you get glimpses and you start to unravel this mystery of the universe. And by the end of the first one, there's only one Reaper that's kind of the vanguard and trying to start the whole apocalyptic movement, and you stop him. Like you're able to stop him, and this is the first time this has ever happened, and it kind of gives the Reapers pause of, well, we can't do the thing that we usually do, but we're going to do it anyway, apparently, eventually. So
it's such a good slow burn, because the way it starts is just like, is Shepard gets called to a planet where this like rogue Spectre agent has like massacred the population, and the whole time they're playing it off as like the bad guys are the Geth are the bad guys, because the whole thing is, since they uprose against the Quarians, they've been hiding out in the galaxy, in their own little pocket of the galaxy. They haven't disturbed anyone, they haven't incursioned anywhere, they've just been chilling out there. So now everyone thinks like, oh shit, all they've been doing is just like building up their forces, and now they're finally attacking. And the whole thing is humanity, in their, classic humanity arrogance. There's like, oh, we're going to ignore your rules of where we can settle colonies, and we're going to settle colonies right on the edge of Geth space. So that's, of course, why the humans are being attacked. And, that's why it's like, oh, well, the Geth are attacking because they're, expanding, blah, blah, blah. And then you meet, Saren, who's like this de facto leader of the Geth, it seems like. And he has this like flagship, and everyone's like, what the hell is this flagship? Like, did the Geth make it? What is this thing? Blah, blah, blah. And you slow burn this whole like, well, there's this like, but part of my vision is like, this thing called a Reaper. And like, you meet Liara, and she's like been doing she's an archaeologist. She's like, oh, the Reapers are this thing that killed the Protheans 50,000 years ago. And you're like, oh, okay, whatever.
Information.
Yeah. Oh, okay, whatever. But she's also found that, before the Protheans, it happened before that as well. And she's like, there are clues that like this is a continuous thing. And so the way the first one ends and plays out is you're like, okay, so Saren like found this Reaper. It didn't go back to the edges of dark space like the rest of them did. Like it either got injured in a battle or something. And then Saren found it, woke it up. It took control of Saren and then had to do its bidding. But luckily you as Shepard and the entire, that's the whole thing, is it takes the entire of like all the human ships, all of the ships from all, it takes all the firepower of all the races to destroy one Reaper. And you're like, holy shit. Okay. Thank God we destroyed that. No apocalypse anymore. Yay. No apocalypse.
Ends on a pretty positive note.
Yeah. And then so Mass Effect 2 starts and you are meet with a shadowy organization called Cerberus. And they're like, well, actually, we think there's more out there.
Now, if you want to know anything about Cerberus, Ashley's a real big fan of them. So know where this is going.
They're very much humans are the best, everyone else sucks kind of thing. But the slow burn through Mass Effect 2 is like, there's like this weird race called collectors that have come and they're taking once again, humans are being targeted again. So you work on that and then you're like, okay. And the slow burn there is that you find out there are actually more Reapers. That one Reaper that you destroyed in Mass Effect 1, that was just a baby Reaper. That was not even one of the big ones. And the ending scene of Mass Effect 2 is just the voice of the Reaper in Mass Effect 2 is named Harbinger. And it's just this awesome, I don't know who the voice actor is for it, but this voice actor of Harbinger, it's just like, you've awoken us, we're on our way. And you just see thousands and thousands and thousands of Reapers, making their way through space. And it's just the way they slow burn you from 1 to 2 to 3 starts off with the apocalypse starting. It's just like, oh my God, they did it so well. They did it so well.
There's a few interesting fan theories, and it depends on how you interpret this stuff. But like, there's a theory that Mass Effect 3 is just like, apparent Mass Effect 3 supposedly, if you buy into this, everybody dies. Like nobody wins. Like from the moment that they land, it's just indoctrination. And Shepard's they know Shepard's key, and what they do is they let Shepard have this sort of dream that he saves the universe, or they save the universe. By the way, Femship's the best. That they saved the universe, but it never happens. Like it's all just it eventually gets to that point where they try to do the march at the very end, and Shepard actually dies then. Like the whole thing's just been this weird indoctrination to just sort of eventually kill everything.
Well, Mass Effect Andromeda does hint to that.
Yeah, it does kind of, because it doesn't really reference the old world or anything, if I remember correctly.
You get like right at the beginning, it talks about Shepard fighting a rogue Spectre, and then you find some more things that it's like, oh, well, there's these things, and well, it's your father knew about it.
Well, the idea is for Andromeda is that damn it, what's the name? What's the head guy for Cerberus name? The what man? The elusive man. The idea is that the elusive man knew about the Reapers before even Shepard found the Oracle on Eden Prime, and so he put together the Andromeda Initiative and shot them out to space into the Andromeda Galaxy, like halfway through Mass Effect 1. I believe is the timeline for that. All the people in Andromeda only know the history of Shepard's galaxy up into the halfway point of Mass Effect 1.
There's a couple of things about Mass Effect 2, but it's very broken.
Yeah.
It talks about an impending invasion, and then I think it even like the invasion began,
which I believe is meant
then that's it, like it.
Which I believe is meant to be referenced like thinking like the answer was the Geth. Like the invasion is the Geth, not the Reapers.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's this whole kind of like like the idea is that ship out all these species and all these humans, all these all these people to get out of the universe, because the Reapers limit themselves to that one universe.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that not to get too off topic from main Mass Effect. Andromeda is kind of the ugly stepchild we don't talk about, but
So in Mass Effect 2 or 3, I can't remember which one it is, you find Tally and she's researching basically heat death in the universe. And it's
I think it's
really
2.
I think it is too. I think that's where you eventually find her, because it takes a while for you to actually even get Tally.
Yeah.
But she's researching heat death in the universe, and it's weird because this is just this one offshoot that is never referenced again. And supposedly what had happened, and Bioware denies this, but there's like some evidence that it's actually true, is that the Reaper's real purpose was, they know that the universe is eventually going to just become heat death. So what they do is they wait for civilization to reach a certain point in sort of evolution, and
Right.
then once they hit that point, they wipe everything out, collect it, record it, and keep it, and turn that into a Reaper. And then so the Reapers can survive heat death, basically, was what happens. But the story apparently was supposed to be that the Reapers are wiping out civilization to collect and record it, and then they let it happen all over again till eventually just the universe dies of heat death, and then all that's left is the Reapers, and then somehow, I don't know, whatever existence starts over, and the Reapers are the cataloged existence of all of time and space. But that line was apparently dropped pretty early, and then it came down to the synthetics versus organics, which, if you do Legion's uh loyalty quest correctly, you can you can prove that AIs and organics can live together, which completely counteracts the thinking of the Reapers. But you can never reference this and point it out to the Reapers in the
Yeah.
end. You
Because
just
it's
have to
after,
make these,
it's after it happens, or
right,
after
like,
the end fight.
right. Well, no, it's not.
No, yeah. The loyalty
Yeah,
mission from Mass Effect 2.
yeah, you can actually get Legion and the
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Quarians to be friends again, which points out that organics and synthetics can work together. So when you're talking to Harbinger at the end, he's just like, yeah, this is the way of things. But you can never reference that very particular point that proves the Reapers wrong. Instead, you got to make two stupid choices, and
Yes or no.
yes or no, basically. And then the end, the controversy that is Mass Effect 3's ending, which is funny because my best friend Rob, is how we met together, is we commiserated over how bad the ending of Mass Effect 3 was. It literally, we were at somebody's house, and Rain and her new friend were like, our husbands should get together, they like video games, they could talk about video games. So we were sitting in a room, and I had heard Rob saying that he was playing Mass Effect 3. So it was like, the Mass Effect 3 ending, huh? He's like, yeah. And then that's the birth of our friendship. Anyway, we've rambled on about Mass Effect. What else you guys got? Like,
Well, how does this? Well, okay, I will tell you. I will tell you how this swings around. So, did you guys know that there is a Mass Effect RPG that's been in the works for like 25 years, probably longer than Mass Effect's been out?
I thought
That sounds
there was a
amazing.
tabletop, but I guess there isn't.
It's there's some controversy with it. So it is a 2D20 system,
No shit.
but I don't think it's official because a lot of the art that's used is the same art from the game.
Huh.
But it's not, it's not like a BioWare or a Microsoft.
Oh, so is this fan made then?
I think it was fan
They
made.
They don't have any official assets or rights to any like, names and that stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just a.
So you don't fight the Geth. You don't fight the Geth. You fight the Jeth.
No, they call them the Geth, and then in the actual thing it says that it's a derivative of the BioWare copyright, whatever thing they have.
Interesting.
But I've never seen it go mainstream. You don't see people playing it.
Huh. That's yeah, like the Mass Effect universe is, it's a cool universe because it's not like, it doesn't go full Star Wars. You should never go full Star Wars with just 50,000 different alien races. There's enough to make it interesting and go, oh, okay, you can kind of keep track of everything that's out there. And they're all pretty cool and pretty unique races, and it does go along with the concept that only a certain amount of species are going to get elevated to the point where they can travel through space and time the way that they do. But it's cool because they have very unique species, like the Liara's what is she? I can't remember the name. It's been a while.
Matriarch?
Sorry.
Sorry. They're actually like plant creatures that they're all female, but they can all breed with different the different races, and then they
go into that pretty early in Mass Effect 1, like when you're talking to Liara. And it's pretty cool that, 2007, they have a non-binary character that, doesn't hold up to, gender stereotypes or norms like that in 2007. That's pretty cool in like a major, AAA game.
Yeah, because like even though they're all female, they can still breed with females. You still
What's
get
the thing is they don't call themselves female. They like
that is true.
Not,
they don't.
They're like, we're not female, we're not male. Like we just
I think
and our partner doesn't have to be.
They only say female once, and I think it's when they're talking. It says something like so something that humans can understand. Genetically, we are male or we are female. However, we have the ability to procreate with any other species.
And then from there, they stop using like male, female. They start saying mother, father to to differentiate.
And even that's not like those are just like vague terms.
It's so humans can understand.
And then what's the jellyfish guys? I can't.
Hanar.
The Hanar are the best.
Okay, I see your Hanar and I raise you Elcor.
All right, so I'm not even to Elcor yet, but like the Hanar are the best because they have a movie series that is basically a jellyfish that is James Bond, and it's an action series that's just the fucking you never see it, you never get a glimpse of it. It's described to you in like verbal trailers, and it sounds like the most amazing goddamn thing because the Hanar just speak in this sort of like lofty whatever voice of just sort of religious zen, and you're like, wait, and your top selling movie is a James Bond knockoff? Like what the fuck's going on? But yes, the Alcor are the donkey dudes, right? Like the big and talking third person. I was
poking fun of Patty in chat. I think it was either today or last night.
I think it was last
about
night.
how I wanted to play an Elcor. And the reason I remembered it is from the RPG because it specifically talks about weapon mounting. Due to their quadruped nature, they cannot hold weapons, and they get mounted like cannons on them, and they walk around. They're the like ones siege weapons.
Yeah, they're the ones that speak in a monotone voice, so they announce the emotion they're using before they say the sentence.
Right. That's right.
So, like, if you were to be like a barbarian Elcor, it'd be like infuriated rage. I slash at the demon.
Oh man, God, I totally forgot about the Alcor. Man, yes. Man, Mass Effect was so cool. Yeah, but I think it's sad that there's not a tabletop RPG because even after or even before what happens in the games, like it makes for a great universe. Just because there are so many there's just enough species to be cool. You're only really dealing with the Milky Way galaxy. You're not all over the place in like other galaxies and things like that. It's a really cool environment that I wish people got more to play in. I wish there was more games in the series just to see what you could do with it. But man,
it's just there's so many almost all the storylines are compelling is what I think is what really good about Mass Effect is there's not a lot of like throwaway major storylines. So you have some of the really big ones are like the Krogan genophage, which is this this warrior race of people were raised up by the other species to combat foes they had, and then once they raised up this warrior race that wasn't ready yet to have spacefaring capabilities and advanced weaponry, and they just started fighting everyone and everything they found. To like, oh well, that had been a mistake, so we can't go back in time, so we're just going to introduce this thing that makes them sterile.
Yeah,
like it's just, and then you have that's like just a thread that's another slow burn they do through 1 through 3, where it's just like you hear about it and then you find out the history of it, and then you have the chance to solve it in some way, shape, or form, all the while meeting Krogans and Turians and Solarians who all had a hand in either living with it or developing it. Like that's not even close to the main story, but it's just they put so much love and good writing and good character development into that storyline that you're just like,
it slow burns through all 4 of them. It's even very prevalent in Andromeda as well.
Oh, is it cool? Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I think if anything, Mass Effect is a great study in like how to make a great NPC and how to make an overarching story filled with many other threads, because it is one of the few games and one of the few stories that I don't want to call it masterful because there are some flaws, but it's a really great, tightly written story. Even like if you just take the first game, everything just sort of connects, like the mystery unfolds, you learn and it's great. And I think it's something that as you play, take notes, because it tells you how to build the perfect NPC. Like, and it also tells you how to build the perfect villain without having to do that whole humanizing thing. Like, Saren is under control and not really doing what he's doing because he wants to do it, but he just kind of gives in and doesn't give a fuck. And you can kind of convince him not to do it and kill himself at the end. But then the Reaper is just like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna reanimate his body, and you gotta fight the zombie, basically. Right. like he does have a tragic story, but he's still a fucking villain. He still made a choice. He still decided, I'm going to do this terrible, terrible thing and not care about the consequences or who it harms or who it affects. Like the first game is like Shepard and Saren are both the same character, just on opposite ends. Like Shepard decides, no, I'm going to fight the Reapers, while Saren's just like, well, this is the inevitable thing, I'm just going to be the villain. So see you guys later.
Actually, like if you played Renegade Shepard, there's a lot of times where like you're talking about Saren with other people or 2 other people. They're like, oh, well, Saren did this or Saren did that, and the Renegade option is like, yeah, I would have done that too.
Yeah.
So like Renegade Shepard is very much Saren, except like, well, okay, I'm not gonna like murder everyone and like annihilate species off the the galaxy. Okay, I won't do that.
Yeah, in Renegade versus Paragon, like in the first game, it is very much good versus evil, where like from 2 on, it's more of you make more brash, more not caring about the consequences choices.
It's a very balancing act, especially when you get into 3.
Yeah, Shepard's not. It loses that whole, well, I'm just going to make the same decisions Saren would make, and it comes down to like, I'm just an asshole and I don't care about the consequences of my actions, so fuck you. But there are some cool Renegade choices, like shooting dudes out of windows and things like that, where you kind of just have to do.
There's been a couple already that I'm just like, oh my god, Renegade Ship's a badass.
Yeah, Renegade Ship is kind of a bit. I usually end up being mostly Paragon, if not absolutely Paragon, in most of the games, in most of the playthroughs that I do. But I still do choose some of the Renegade options, and ultimately I don't think it matters in the end, because the end actually forces you to make a Renegade option or you die. Like the Mass Effect 3 has a lot of weirdness at the end, where it I don't know if they just ran out of time, thought process, what happened, but the ending of it is a very, very just poorly thought out is the wrong word, but there's just some weird choices at the end where you're not it's one of those series where about 80 to 90% through the game you're playing your story, but then by the end you're playing somebody else's story and the ending that somebody else wanted to happen.
Yeah,
and it's just
that's actually a really good way of putting it. I've not heard someone put it that way before. That's a great way of putting it, I think.
Yeah.
It's almost like what I like to say is like it's almost like they knew that there was not an ending they could write or give that would make people happy. So they just went, fuck it, choose a renegade or paragon option.
Right. And even then they're not even, one is you obliterate the Mass Effect drivers, which then means that
no matter what, you always destroy the Mass Effect drivers.
Oh yeah, they always die. But basically either you take control of the Reapers and just take them back out to deep space, or you basically trap everybody and everything around Earth, and that's the ending. Like
one is you just destroy all synthetic life. Like
that's right.
Life
yes,
is just
I forgot.
Like Death, God. Reaper, like any AI, like anything is just like kaput. Like you just killed all. It's like giant EMP burst.
And then everybody's left stuck around Earth's orbit. Yeah, goddamn.
Wasn't there one that you wait?
There is they did change it. There's a synthetic one where you can merge the two. You can also tell Harbinger to fuck off and not make a choice, but then that causes everybody to die.
And everybody dies.
Yeah.
Funny story. My friend, the Twom that you've seen, and he's been in the Vorpal Tales Twitch channel chat before. Mm-hmm. He had finally got around to playing Mass Effect 3. A couple months after it came out, he remained spoiler free most of the time. And by that point, his first playthrough was with the extra ending they added.
Okay.
So his first ending, he had all the options available to him.
Oh, interesting.
So I did not know this. So he's just like kind of like it's a very long spiel listening to Harbinger, talk about your choices and talk about humanity and talk about the Reapers. And it was very late at night. Like he kind of had like powered through to get to the end and was like, okay, and they give you a pistol while you're in this like final, not actually a cutscene, but kind of a cutscene kind of thing. Where like he's talking to you, but you can move around freely and you can do what you want, but they give you a pistol. I don't know why they do this, but he was just kind of like messing around, like shooting the pistol, waiting for, Harbinger to finish his spiel. And your Harbinger is talking to you through like this like child ghost apparition kind of thing.
Yeah, because the beginning of Mass Effect 3, like Shepard sees a kid die basically that he tried to save. And this kid haunts him, and supposedly that's indoctrination. That whole theory with the kid is the indoctrination. But anyway, continue.
So you're talking to this kid, but if you shoot that kid, that ghost, it just like this deep voice. So humanity has chosen, and then it just like murders, like the Reapers just murder everyone.
Right.
And my friend just like, wait, what happened? And I was like, well, guess you're gonna have to restart and listen to all that all over again.
Which is funny because canonically, that kind of makes sense because the entire game you've just kind of told the Reapers to fuck off, and like I'm not going to deal. Whatever choice you want to make, I'm not going to make it because those are all the wrong choices. And so what sounds like the right choice is the one that kills everyone, which
there's because the whole time the Reapers are just like roll over and die. We're inevitable. Like we are the apocalypse. We are the end of your existence. Just accept it. You can't stop us. We're inevitable. And Shepard's like, no, I refuse that answer. I'm Shepard, and I'm not going to allow that to happen. And so that's what Mass Effect 3 is just like, fighting against inevitability.
Yeah, that ending doesn't make any sense because all Shepard has to do is go hit a button and the thing activates, and still like they just sort of leave Shepard there to die in the space station, but all he literally has to do is go and hit a fucking button. But he can't do that in that ending for some reason. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
The endings of Mass Effect ends. I don't know if they wrote themselves into a corner. I don't know if expectations were too high and they just didn't know how to end it. But all the endings of Mass Effect are just kind of like, okay, cool.
Like I said, it just felt very like the writers came back like 300 times, like, okay, what about these options? What about these endings? And just like the writing producers like, nah, not quite. And then finally the writers are like, you know what? Fuck it. You write your own ending. We're done.
Right.
Like, just if you don't like any of these, I don't care anymore. I just take a very generic ending.
And it's weird because the ending, you can like the whole, organics versus synthetics, and you get them to get together, and then you feel like, okay, well, now that I've gotten them together, surely I can use this piece of information against the beings that annihilate existence, because supposedly the two can't get along. Nope, that's never brought up again, never referenced, not usable. Like the ending of Mass Effect 3 and the whole series is completely disjointed from everything else that goes on in the game. It's a really wild ending. Yeah. If another thing, if you play Mass Effect all the way through, take notes about the ending. Don't end your games that way. Remember that players remember all the choices that players made throughout the game, and then don't dump those, and then just do whatever the fuck you want to. Like, let them fight the big bad, but let those choices matter in the end.
Yeah, I've had to play through multiple times through all three games, writing down each choice that I make to make sure that I don't make the same choice again, so that I get different choices later.
Yeah. Yeah, it is one of those weird games that there's almost a right way to play, or else you're not going to get a satisfying experience.
Well, yeah, there's always that one time where you're like, okay, I did this, which I didn't do last time. Okay, I did A. Wait, why am I getting answer B again? That's not the answer. No, that's the bad answer, because then it's like, well, what do you say? And well, no, that's a bad. I don't want to say that. I want the good answer.
There are some renegade choices where, and it is one of those first games in Fallout 4, I feel, is like another one that does this, where like,
oh yeah,
where your answer is nowhere near close to what you chose.
Right. It's like the answer is, hey, want to go get some ice cream? But the character actually says like, hey, I fucked your mother last night and then killed her. And it's like, what? What the fuck? No, that's nowhere near what I would. No. Yeah. Oh man. So again, when your characters in the games that you might run in sci-fi games or in any game, make sure that your NPCs have correct responses to what the characters are saying.
Yeah,
don't leave them open for interpretation.
Yes.
When your player says, "Oh, my character says this," and then you narrate what happens, make sure you stick to what that player said the character says.
Exactly. Yes. And I feel, and I don't want to shit on Mass Effect, but I feel it's a critique, and a better way to make a better sort of tabletop game is it was always like, your choices matter, your choices matter, your choices matter. But the level and degree of what those choices were at the very end just didn't matter. Like it, yeah, like
the endings where they don't matter. Like making 1 and 2. Well, choices you make in 1 drastically affect things in 2, and choices you make in 2 drastically affect how things react in 3, and how you can resolve the side plot lines in 3. But then the choices you make in 3 don't really influence.
And I think it's one of those things where like your choices from the first point that you play the game don't necessarily need to play out at the very end. Like, stories can end, like adventures can end, side stories can end, 3/4 halfway through the game, and you don't have to worry about those things. You introduce new things. Like I feel like that's another note that one could take, is just know when your side story should end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We talked about Liara. There's Rex, who's the Krogan. Are there any other characters that stand out to you throughout the rest of the game that you thought were done really well, and good models for like NPCs or anything?
So, I mean, of course, there's everyone's favorite battle buddy, Garrus.
Well, right. Yeah, I mean, everybody wants a warm hug from Garrus. Yeah.
I think one of my favorite characters that makes me so sad you get so little time with them is Legion, the Geth. companion. Legion is such an awesome character. He's like he's what's the Borg's name in Voyager? 7 of 9.
7 of 9.
Yeah, exactly.
Like part of you find out that Geth are kind of like a synthetic hive mind essentially. That there are individuals, but they all act as one kind of communal hive mind, and he's been knocked off of the hive, and he's had to kind of make his own choices and react to things without the benefit of the hive, and he's just kind of imparts upon these like little they just slowly soft punch you in the kidneys. You're like, oh god, Legion, good point, man. Oh like the whole time you're doing like the end of like when you find from when you find him to the end of his loyalty mission, like especially for it didn't hit me as hard because I didn't play Mass Effect 1, but in Mass Effect 1 you have this hatred of the Geth because it's like they're introduced to you as like human massacrists, and then they don't get any better from there on out. But the way they did it is like for people who play Mass Effect 1 is by the end of Mass Effect 2 it's just like, oh man, I kind of like the Geth, like I kind of feel for him, like I get it, like
it presents it as a very important view on humanity itself, just that one group of people is not the same all the way across, because the Geth that are free from the Reapers kind of see the other ones as like a cult. They're hearing the words wrong.
Oh yeah, that's right. They do mention that. I forgot about that.
They have been led astray.
Yeah, that's like his whole loyalty mission, right? Is like at the end, he's like,
he goes into like the Matrix and tries to sever the
tie. He's essentially
going the Matrix.
He essentially matrixes it, and he's just like, hey, like I can fix this, and I can save all these Geth and bring them back into the fold, or I can delete them all and like essentially like massacre billions of beings. So you have to be like, which makes the renegade option even worse, because it's like, kill billions of people. Oh, good.
Genocide, please. It. I think that's one of the cool things about Mass Effect, and again, you can take notes on, is like the moral quandaries that come up in that game are very, very thoughtful, very deep, especially in the sci-fi aspect, because there's always that question of like, what is sentient AI like? Is it deserving of rights? Is it deserving of life and choices and things? And there's a lot. Legion is one of those hard thought processes of, man, what do I do when it's just a computer? And I can rewrite it, but I can't rewrite humans. I wouldn't choose to rewrite humans. Like they exist, they get to make their own choices. These guys should make their own choices. Like, comes out the whole, what is humanity? It really.
Yeah, it especially when Legion's letting you know that rewriting these programs is essentially like killing a person.
Right.
He's like, you are like, they have made their own, like they're a separate entity, a consciousness, and my rewriting them, I'm killing them. Like that is a life, an experience, a brain that I am just resetting back to basic. And you're like, ooh, okay, that makes it a little bit harder than just hitting enter on a keyboard.
Ooh. Yeah. Wow.
I'd say another great character is I also really like Thane. I don't know if anybody remembers Thane. He's the Mass Effect 2. He is, I forget what his species is called. Yes, I forget what his species is called. But he lives
really
he didn't really make a mark on you?
No, just his story is a powerful and interesting story of how he's doing it to save his son, basically. But like him as a character and overall, I was just kind of like, he's the least interesting of most of the other characters. I feel like there are other characters that are more interesting for me, but I really empathize with him, because he is this kind of like really cool model for someone dealing with a chronic disorder they know will kill them. That's true. Yeah.
The world, he believe his species shares a world with the Hanar.
Yeah, that's right. They do.
And something happens where his species basically are precluded to get this disease that affects their lungs, and like they'll die. Like they'll just eventually, like, their lungs will stop working and they're going to die. And so it's kind of like this race against the clock to figure out a way to cure this disease. And like that's why he's doing all, like, he becomes an assassin, because even he has this, and the whole thing is he constantly talks about, like, yeah, this, it affects me right now and it slows me down. You're like, it slows you down? Holy shit, dude, you just like murdered like 20 people by yourself. So imagine if he's like at full strength. But the idea is, like, he's doing it so that he can find money to get his son set up, so that his son will be able to live a life well, and hopefully find a cure for this. It's a really cool storyline.
Yeah, I hated being the paragon in that, and having to go to the hospital all the time to talk to him.
Oh yeah, that was rough.
That's Mass Effect 3. Yeah, you have to keep going back to the hospital. Well, you can knock out, it's 2 birds, 1 stone, because you can talk to either Caden or Ashley, whoever else is at the hospital.
Yeah, that's it was just like, it was like he was always getting worse and worse.
Yeah,
it's like,
man,
he's like coughing up blood at one point. You're like, hey, like, buddy, no, not like this.
It's like Hospice, the mini video game in that, and it's just like, why the
Hospice Simulator?
Hospice Simulator. It's what, and yeah, there's a lot to unpack from that, and like the trauma that you, like, just watching a friend die and there's nothing you can do. And that's what I was going to say about, like, Mass Effect 1 is very much space opera. It's very much a story about a hero trying to save the universe against this unstoppable evil, and they succeed.
It's very go from the start.
It's nonstop. You're constantly like picking up pieces of the mystery, and you really don't know what the fuck's going on till almost the very end, and then it all sort of clicks, and then you can meet, I think, a hologram or an AI built from the progenitors that just didn't make it. Like all their systems eventually failed, and you don't really get to talk to them directly, but like you can learn about the mystery, and it answers all the questions. Then you go fight the big bad. But it's very space opera, where the second one is a heist film, which is a hell of a way to do a game. It's like, let me get my crew, son of a bitch, I'm in. And then you do what literally is called a suicide mission. And if you did not prepare correctly, you could literally lose the game because you just weren't prepared to handle the mission, or everybody can die.
Yeah, one of your outcomes is Shepard dies.
Right. Yeah. And you can die actually pretty quickly if you didn't do like some of the basic stuff. Like the Normandy doesn't make it past step 1. Like it just gets obliterated.
And like that's game over, but like credits roll. That is your canon ending. Congratulations. You can pick up from a save and try again, but like that is your canon ending. And then the whole thing is Mass Effect 3, you have to start a new save file essentially, because Shepard died in Mass Effect 2 on your save file for your other ship.
It's a really cool way to do a story. Like it's a lot of fetch quests. It's a lot of like interacting with PCs and trying to get them on your side. It's a cool way to tell a story, I feel. And even on its own, to sort of compartmentalize it's a great little piece of writing. And it's kind of a very good template of how to do a heist game.
Mass Effect 2 is literally just, I'd say 75% of the missions are either go recruit a member for your team or make them loyal. Like do a mission that reveals backstory to them and makes them loyal to you. Like that's 75% of the missions.
Yeah, it's a really cool way to sort of interact with NPCs and PCs, and I think is a good template for people to sort of look at and go, oh, okay, that's how you write a good character. That's how you write a good mission. And then Mass Effect 3 is basically a war movie where you're probably on the losing side and you're just doing anything and everything you can. You're literally throwing the kitchen sink at this thing that just will not stop coming from the deep cosmos. And it is a great story where there's all of these little mini triumphs, but there's always this sort of like inevitability of like, will it be enough? Will it matter? I don't think the ending sort of latches on to what everything you do in the game, and you kind of have to make some really shitty choices. But up until that very last mission, it is a game that goes, you're probably going to die, but you're gonna have an interesting and probably fun thing along the way. And that's a game that's really focuses on just sort of the mini victories and the mini triumphs, which I think is a good way of storytelling, because even if you only make it to level 12 and you still have to fight that level 20 pit demon, you tried, you did everything you could.
We're gonna get the bars of song.
Yes, the inevitability came and you didn't roll enough 20s, and sorry, you're all dead.
I always found it so, it's not weird because it needed to push the story along, but just so funny how in Mass Effect 2, you had the outcome of Mass Effect 1. Everyone saw the Reaper, but all through 2, everyone's like, nah,
we beat it. It's fine.
The whole thing is no one thinks it's a Reaper. Everyone thinks it was just Saren's ship that the Geth made him. Only Shepard has the vision and talks to the Reaper and learns that it is a Reaper. Everyone else is like, oh no, it's just a ship. Especially because you blow it up and it lands into the Citadel.
Yeah.
And as they're executing it, they're like, oh no, it's just a ship.
Still, you would think like I saved everyone once. No matter how renegade or paragon I was, I still saved people. I saved somebody. So now that despite the fact that you're working for a shadow agency now because they resurrected you, but still, like, why not give he or she the benefit of the doubt? Like, oh yeah, you know what? We'll listen to you.
They kind of touch on it a little bit in Mass Effect 1. You do this mission where, playing this mission after having played the whole series, it kind of is, you see what they're doing. You're Shepard's old commanding officer from the defining military event in Shepard's history, has like gone crazy and has started this cult with these evil people.
The cult,
and the Alliance is like, he's like saying some stuff, but like he's clearly crazy. And Shepard is immediately just like, yeah, no, crazy, put him down. And you go do it, and you meet with him, and he's like spouting stuff about, these are my children and they need me, I am their father. And you're just like, okay, you're crazy, and you kill him.
Okay, let's get out of this.
And it's just like
now movie.
And then, and so then, Mass Effect 2 rolls around, and it's like, I have joined an evil Black Ops organization that
has resurrected me.
that has literally resurrected me from the dead, and people don't like this organization because they're very much like pseudo terrorists. And I'm going around saying the end of the world's coming. Okay, no, I get why people don't. I get it.
I get it.
I see it now.
Yeah, it's that whole existential crisis of like, hey, everybody, there's this impossible thing in this impossible universe that's impossible to fight. We need to fight it. Everybody's just like, I just want to shop at Sears and buy cleaners. Like, I can't even begin to comprehend what you're saying, so I'm just gonna choose not to believe it.
But even at the beginning of Mass Effect 3, there were still people that were like, nah, we beat them this time, so we're good, right?
Yeah,
that only lasts for 5 minutes before the replay comes.
But even still, like, most of Mass Effect 3 is like, hey, remember the big squid monster I was telling you about that's like right over there? And everybody's like, yeah, but we got all these like personal problems we got to deal with. It's like, that doesn't fucking matter. There's a squid monster right fucking there.
So like, of course, squid monster, end of the world, not necessarily like, but I think about that for the pandemic all the time about like, why keep, like, there's this disease that's ravaging us. How are we not banding together? I'm like, oh wait, no, they can't even fucking do it for the squid monsters. So they're not going to do it for
you can't even put on a goddamn mask for 5 fucking seconds. How do I? Yeah, you're right. Why would I expect you to fight the squid monster? I don't. You got me. You're right, Patty.
Going back to what you said about Mass Effect maybe kind of being like a war movie. They do a really good job of showing that. And like, you kind of go out and do like a little hit and run mission against the Reapers. You kind of get a win or something. You get, like you said, your tiny win, you celebrate your win, but then you come back to the Citadel, and just progressively the Citadel starting to have more people because they're taking on refugees.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
There is a wall of, people that were lost, like a remembrance wall. and the game adds more pictures and more stuff over time. And just keeps and like more and more people are there, and they keep adding like candles and pictures, and like, and it just keeps getting bigger, and the Citadel gets more and more crowded, and does this really good job of just like, no, like planets are being completely destroyed and people are being annihilated, and for a colony of 50,000 people, like 10 people got away.
Yeah, Mass Effect, good case study on how to run an interesting, well thought out game, I think.
And in like 3 different games, like you said, space opera, heist, war. Like,
I think, like we said with our module talk, like there's so many pieces and parts that you can take from Mass Effect to put into a game that you might be running that I think works really well. And again, ignored the last 20 minutes of the game, of the entire series, but everything up until then is just a really great piece of source piece that you can use to sort of analyze and take notes from, which I think is a really cool thing. Any final thoughts on Mass Effect?
I liked Andromeda.
Never played it. I bought it for $5 when it was on a super sale, and I just never loaded it up. I think what pissed me off is I know what's his name is the voice of your dad, but then why can't I think of his name?
Oh yeah,
Clancy Brown. Clancy Brown's the voice of your dad. And then I found out that your dad doesn't survive, so I don't have Clancy Brown there just like baritoning the fuck out of me.
You only have him for like the first half hour.
Half hour.
So my question is, why am I playing this game then? If he's not there,
I wouldn't play it now with Legendary Edition out. Mass Effect Andromeda, I will say, is a good game, especially the combat part of it. Like the way they redid combat and abilities for Mass Effect Andromeda is really good. Mass Effect Andromeda is a good game to play when there's not been a new Mass Effect out for 5 years.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because I got it as soon as it came out, and I had not played Mass Effect in a very long time. I was like, wow, this is not bad. It's not the level of Mass Effect I'm used to. But then I did a thing like I played Mass Effect 2 and 3, and then I tried playing Andromeda right after. I was like, oh no, I can't do this. No.
Yeah. Also, if you have time, there were several articles at the time that explain why Andromeda is kind of the mess that it is. It's almost the same exact story about why Anthem was a complete trash heap. Find those articles and read them, because it is a fascinating piece on just like human ignorance and just balls out ego, just making all the wrong choices, and just definitely try to find those things, because again, those are kind of things that you can use for your game. Just a lot of real life strange choices, bad choices, just sort of arrogance, that I think makes for a really good villain. Middle management and capitalism, greatest villains of all time. Cool. Any other thoughts? Any other things in your brain holes?
I don't think I can beat that.
Oh, all right, cool. All right, as always, you can find us on the social medias at Vorpal Tales. Check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Vorpal Tales. We really love your support. And see our calendar that pops up in our show reels and on our website at vorpaltales.com, and on our Twitch channel. Also check out the pull list on our website. Friend of the show at Funky Thunder does his weekly review in no particular order of this week's latest comic releases. And please be sure to check out the shop links on our website. Vorpal Tales has created several great supplements to enhance your games. There's more in the works for all the systems that we play to make your tabletop experience more Vorpally. Also, we have merch. Patty, tell us about a piece of merch that has our logo on it that is just great and will enhance your life.
So I mean, summer's right around the corner here, and everyone knows that sun's out, guns out, and it's officially 2021 summer is summer of it's hot boy summer. So you can get a tank top with the Vorpal Tales logo on it.
No shit. A tank top?
I was wearing that one earlier.
You can get a tank top with Vorpal Tales logo on it, not just with the Vorpal Tales main logo, but you can also choose to get the Awesome Adventures or Terrifying Tales.
Right.
You can get the other one. You can get Geared Up Gaming, and you can. I think that might be it.
I think that's it.
Can you get talk? Maybe.
I don't think you can get talk, unfortunately. We need to petition that. As the talk people, we need to petition that.
Right. We need. I mean, I want the big old microphone in everybody's face. Like, hey.
But yeah, so you can get a tank top with the logo on it, and just it comes in several different colors. You can just be like, oh man, I really need to rub some sunscreen on my shoulders. You can't see me, but I'm flexing right now on the camera.
He is. I'm turned on. Great. So thanks for being here, guys. Listeners, thank you for listening. We appreciate all your love and support. And for the love of the dice, game on.